G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Yes, before we talk about the greatest sport in the history of the world, rugby, we are going to talk a little bit about the second greatest sport in the world, soccer. Okay, so please allow me to indulge myself a little bit. Okay, because I thought this was really funny this morning. England lost to Argentina in a game where, if you watch my channel, you will know exactly why England lost this game. And yes, it's the same problem that the Wallabies are having. It's the same problem the England rugby team is having. It is precisely the capitulation to the fear of losing that resulted in England choking in the biggest stage of the soccer world, losing a lead to go down 2-1 to Argentina. Now, it's just I just don't know why the teams keeps doing this. They literally have done studies on this in American football. This style of gameplay where you literally like gave up attacking and just go full out defending to hold on to the lead is called prevent in the game of football. Basically prevent, right? Preventative, football, the preventative style. It's like literally, when the team thinks they had enough to hold on to the lead and they just do the minimum they can to hold on to the lead and ease themselves into a win. And they've done studies on this in American football, and they found that, the team that pursues this strategy most times ends up underperforming. Now, underperforming does not mean you're going to always lose the game, but underperforming means that your chance of losing is actually increased as a result of pursuing this strategy. And what's really disappointing is I'm pretty sure, I don't watch England football that much, to be honest, but based on what I've seen, when England was under Gareth Southgate, I thought the best thing Southgate was able to do is getting England past this mindset. This mindset of like, oh my God, we're winning, let's just hold on to this, and this is good enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like they've gone past it, and only to see them just come right back at it in like one of the most crucial games of the World Cup is just mind-blowing for me. But anyway, right? It just shows that this mentality, it's something that's, in fact, if you think, there's a saying, right, from like thousands of years ago, the best defense is a good offense, or like the best offense is also the greatest defense, right? Something like that. So the fact that you have taken off your offense and then just put on a bunch of defenders and completely relinquish your right, essentially, to attack, right? What this meant was that Argentina basically did not have to defend anymore. And you have given free reign for the Argentinians to attack your goal. And, when you allow literally the greatest of all time just do whatever he wants for 30 minutes in front of your goal whilst you park your entire team in the box, sooner or later, you're going to get cracked. And Argentina has done it again to do a comeback victory after beating Egypt to do it against England. And I think, it's the coach needs to go for England football already. Let me know your thoughts. But I thought this was just super funny how the same concept applies to all of sports. And yeah, when will they learn? When will they learn and move on from this? And anyway, let's talk about the rugby now. The Rugby World Ranking has little changes. England moved up one spot after completely dominating Fiji at home, and Scotland dropped in a spot as well because they lost to the Springboks. And then finally, the another big move is at the bottom. Japan, despite losing to Ireland, they didn't lose many points because the gap was too big. They actually moved up 1 point because Wales lost Argentina, which caused a bigger points shift for Wales in terms of losing points. So they actually ended up, the Japan actually ended up moving forward despite the fact that both teams has lost on the weekend. Coming out of this weekend, the final round of Nations Championship, we've got a super crazy lineup. We've got New Zealand versus Ireland at Eden Park. The record is on the line. Can the Irish do it? We'll talk about that in the lineup. We got Japan versus France. Wallabies versus Italy. Boy, I am nervous about this one. Fiji versus Scotland. We got the Springboks versus Wales. I mean, I know it's Wales, but I think, Wales has been historically one of the teams that gives a lot of problems to the Springboks. So we'll have to see how that's going to go this weekend. And finally, this is going to be just absolute fireworks. This is Argentina versus England in a game of rugby in Argentina. And this is played, I'm pretty sure, just before the Soccer World Cup final. Just before the final. I'm pretty sure this is just before the final. Literally, I don't know if that's, let me know if that's actually the right, so this is going to be crazy, but really much looking forward to that contest regardless. So yeah, let's go to Springboks, some little bit of update. First, Sasha Fenberg has been confirmed that will be able to play for the greatest tour for the Springboks, and of course, this weekend the lineup for the Springboks has been announced well in advance. So Rassie has already planned the style of rugby that he wants to play, and I'm starting to see a little bit of ongoing theme here for Rassie Erasmus. He's kind of like, right, build a skeleton of the team, and then change the little parts around the skeleton, right? And the skeleton, the backbone of the team, comes down to two very important players. Number one, Jesse Krill in the back line, and number two, what's his name? Petersev Dutoy comes in the forward pack, and with these two players in the back line, the two experienced player back line, I think Rassie Erasmus really tries to channel those two guys' leadership and really rub off some of that style to the newer players around them, and really get the get that next generation a really good opportunity to get a true feel of what it's like to play in the Springboks and play along someone that is truly world class. And I think Rassie's done a brilliant job is there so far in this Nations Championship in terms of both consolidating of what he's got and then building towards the future. And he's talked about that very much this week in some of the interviews. So coming in first, obviously, I've already highlighted the man on the screen, the new number 10, Vusi Moyo. A lot of you guys have told me about him like a month ago, and I actually look forward to seeing him play. He's apparently like 20 years of age, extremely young, and this will be a test that'll put his name on the table as one of the future of the Springboks superstars. And yeah, we'll see where he goes, and this will be the first step, and I'm very, very excited to see how this is going to go. But anyway, for the Springboks now, coming in number 1, we got Herga Steenekamp. Number 2, we got Malcolm Marx. Is this the first game Malcolm Marx played so far in the Nations Championship, or maybe my memory is a bit hazing that did he play last 2 rounds or not? Anyway, let me know. I actually can't remember if he played or not in the last 2 rounds. But anyway, Carlu Sadie comes in number 3, so Steenekamp and Carlo comes in definitely for the 2 starting props. Cobus Visa comes in number 4. Who's brother of Jasper Visa, coming number 5. Ruben van Geerden. So 2 relatively newer locks here. Coming number 6, Paul de Villiers, who's been outstanding for the Springboks. In my opinion, he's just being almost like a Huaga Smith style of rugby that he brings in the open side position. And coming number 7, the foundation, the bedrock, Petersev Dutoy. And finally, number 8, Jasper, the headbutt machine. Visa will come in for the number 8 jersey for the Springboks. Coming number 9, Cobus Reinach, the veteran returning. I guess helps out having someone veteran next to a new guy, giving him a bit more confidence. And Reinach as well, 37 years of age, and still just world class right now. Vusu Mayo, already talked about him, the new guy. Coming number 11, Curly Alensa, who's been. Did he play last week? Was he here last week? Or was it Kanan Moody at 11 last week? I genuinely can't remember. There's so many changes for Springboks. I think this might be the first. I think this is a change. I think I'm pretty sure Kanan Moody was here last week. So Alensa is quoting at 11. Damien De Linde comes in at number 12. This is his first outing in the Nations Series. Last week is Damien Willems at number 12. Jesse Krill has been all around, has not been changed. Comes back at number 13. Jaco Williams comes number 14. And finally, Apolele Farsi, who was also number 15 last week, returns to number 15 jersey. In replacement now, Andre Hugo Venter comes number 16. Jan Hendrik Vessels, number 17. And Wilco Lowe comes in at number 18. Ben Jason Dixon comes in number 19. I'm surprised that he's not starting. Marco van Staden comes in number 20. Herschel Yenshis, his first outings this year, comes in number 21. Martin de Bock returns number 22. And finally, the greatest Springbok in the history of the Springboks, Damien Willemse, in his famous number 23 jersey, will be covering the backline should anything go wrong. And I think it's really interesting because if there's any sort of, issues in the backline, Willemse will step in. But yeah, there's, we'll see if this is going to work, because Rassie did make some very interesting comments about, wanting to risk it a little bit, right? Risk it a little bit to bring in new players and just really get an understanding of where the players at. So he's happy to roll the dice in all those in those fun, which I think is completely true. Like, you wanted to, if you never test the players, how do you know they're going to be able to, step up for the job when there's an injury, right? So he's done a really good job in terms of getting the players through. But, I don't want to criticize too much. I'd rarely criticize, the greatest coach in the history of rugby. But Rassie has made a comment this week that I think has a little bit, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit worried. Not worried. I don't really agree. Not agree. Well, let me explain, right? So, Rassie Erasmus, obviously, first of all, he is the master of player psychology, right? He understands the players where they're at. He's a former player himself. He knows how to motivate the players. He knows what the players, how to drive the players to give it to deliver the best performance. And he knows how to set the expectations that is required at the level of Springbok rugby. And he pushes, especially the newer players, to that standards, right? And that we all, everybody, we all know that's the what Rassie does the best. Now, he made some comments about, like I just said, that he's happy to roll the dice and give the newer players an opportunity to, to get it, to test them out and see if they can perform at the level. And if they don't perform, he's gonna, so-called get the knives out and cut them, right? So he's pretty brutal, but he's basically said that this is what he's doing with some of the changes that he's done for the Springboks. And he talks about how the public sometimes are not happy because of these changes, because they feel like you're risking too much, risking losing again, right? Which is fine. But I think that's all makes sense, and that's all fine to say. But what he said next is what I have a little bit of an issue with, and let me explain. So what he said next is that sometimes we must put our personal goals to one side of how many games you've won in a row, or even putting winning this championship on the line so that you can know who can do what. Basically, what he's saying is, in the process of testing new players, sometimes it's more important than winning the game and keeping a record of winning streak or whatnot going. Now, what he said is completely true, and I 100% agree with it. My problem is the fact that he said this out loud. And I just don't know how this could play into the psyche of the players by saying this out loud. I think the best way for me to explain this is, imagine if you're a dad. I think some of you guys are dads. Imagine if you're a dad and you love your kid very much, and in the bottom of your heart, you know that no matter what the kid do, right, you're gonna forgive him. But you don't want to tell the kid that. You don't want to tell the kid, like, hey, no matter what you do, I'm gonna forgive you because I'm your dad and I love you, right? You don't want to say that, because once you tell the kid that is the case, the kid's just gonna be like abusing, just gonna be like abusing this fact that you are always gonna forgive him, and just never really takes the punishments seriously anymore, right? Even if that's true and it is what you believe in your heart, you should never tell the kid, because that'll spoil the kid, right? And I feel like this is the thing that you shouldn't tell, like, public announce, because there could be a point when you're in the game, the fact that player knows about this, they could say, okay, look, we're playing with a bunch of newer players, we're down at some points. If we don't win this one, it's probably okay. I'm probably not going to get dropped. Maybe that guy will get dropped. Maybe that new guy will get cut. It's probably okay. because Rassie has said these are the tests that we're going to be using to test new players. And the main goal is testing new players, and that's more important than winning. That could become a thing, especially in some of the younger players, in their heads once you sit this out loud. Just like you never tell your kid that you're always going to forgive them then because you love them very, very much. You never say that to them. I think this is one of those cases that you should never say out loud, especially to your team. But anyway, let me know your thought. I do, that's my opinion. I mean, I very rarely criticize Rassie. I just don't know if that should be said aloud to any team, not just in Springboks, but to any team. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. So the Welsh has made an announcement as well. This is going to be a really, really tough game for the Welsh against the Springboks. Everything that the Welsh do really, really well so far is their set piece dominance. And I just don't think they're going to be able to enjoy that against the Springboks. And the Welsh has not able to find any sort of methodology to unleash their most dangerous players on the field, like Blair Murray and Rhys Zammit. So yeah, going to this game, I don't know how it's going to go. Obviously, the Springboks and Wales has always had a tight game because they always used to play, especially under Warren Gatland, right? Especially under Warren Gatland, both teams played a very grindy box kicking and then goal kicking style of rugby where a lot of the points were scored by goal kicking, end up being pretty close affairs. But I just don't see the Springboks today will continue to pursue that strategy against Wales. And once they break that leash, I don't know how this is going to go for the Welsh, right? And then also for the Welsh side, what are your aims? What are your goals coming to the Springboks? Knowing that you're probably not going to, just do a rolling maul and win it like you did against Fiji. What are you going to do? What are your goals? In my opinion, if the Welsh can somehow maybe create a bit of an aerial contest and set up Murray or Rhys Zammit for a try or two, if they can do that, if they can really expand on that, I think that would be a really good goal for the Welsh to pursue. And that would be a great step forward for the Welsh. But anyway, let's have a look at the team that the Welsh has announced to get to play against the Springboks. So coming in number 1, we've got Rhys Carey. Now this will be interesting because is he going to score a try against the Springboks? But anyway, Lewis Lake comes in number 2 as the captain. Dylan Lewis, number 3. Teddy Williams, number 4. Adam Beer, number 5. Alex Smart, number 6. Jack Morgan comes back at number 8. And Aaron Wainwright, number 8. Thomas Williams coming number 9. Dan Edwards replacing Costello at number 10, which is an interesting selection. Costello has completely dropped out of the team. Josh Adams, number 11. Ben Thomas, number 12. Max Llewellyn comes in number 13. He's ahead of some of the younger players, Eddie. I think it was Eddie. What is that? Eddie Me or whatever. There's a few young players. There's a few younger players that's being replaced in the back line for a bit more experience. Rhys Zammit was on the bench last week, so moved out to the starting position again. And Blair Murray retains the number 15 jersey. Coming on the bench, got Ryan Elias coming number 16, Nicky Smith number 17, Ben Warren number 18, 19 Freddie Thomas, 20 Tommy Raphael number 21, James Bothan number 22, Ruben Morgan Williams number 23, Joe Hawkins. Yeah, that's the team for the Welsh. Like I said, I don't think the Welsh will topple the Springboks, and I think this might not even be a close affair like it was in the previous outings. But if the Welsh can find something for Rhys Zammit or Blair Murray, I think they will consider that a big step forward. Now, obviously, the Wallabies has to make some selection changes. First of all, in the world of rugby, I know a lot of people watching this video, especially if you're a Wallabies fan, you might be thinking that we've got Italy coming up, and Italy might be a little bit run down at the moment based on their last couple of weeks. You might be thinking that the Wallabies will bounce back and finish the last game for Joe Schmidt strong. Let me just tell you something, guys. The apocalypse of Australian rugby, the apocalypse of the Wallabies, there's one more horseman still yet to show up. And that horseman is finishing the season on the low. Yeah, we see this in Super Rugby. Brumbies dominated by Hurricanes, lost to Moana Pacifica last game of the season. Waratahs lost last 3 games in the season. Reds dominated by what's his name, by the Chiefs in the finals. Western Force is the only team that won the final game of the season because they were playing against the Waratahs, and it was a pretty lackluster performance of both teams, in my opinion. Right? So yeah, if you think last week was a dip, this could literally go could don't bank on a bounce back because it's I've seen it so many times. As much as I like this, I wanted to see a bounce back from the Wallabies. I've seen it so many times in so many situations where you're just like, surely this team will bounce back from last week, and they just didn't. So yeah, don't bank on it. That's all I'm gonna say. So anyway, the Wallabies selections. So coming number 1, we've got Angus Bell. Number 2, Brendan Panga Amosa. He's coming up because the Reds hooker, what's his name? I actually know his look. I can see his face, but I just can't remember his name. But anyway, he's coming in because the Reds hooker is hurt and Billy Pollard comes in on the bench. Some people might be asking, why isn't Billy Pollard starting? Because his line-out throws for the Brumbies hasn't been great. Like the Brumbies line-out hasn't been great at all this season. So that's why he hasn't been playing. But he's now back on the bench. Panga Mosa at number 2. Alan Alator has been outstanding for the Wallabies at number 3. George Cannon retains number 4 jersey. Jeremy Williams has been great at number 5. Rob Valentini, by far the best. By far the best in my opinion, and most physical player as well on the field. Bobby V coming in number 6. He's been so good. Carlo Tazzano gets caught in number 7 because Fraser McWright, who's also outstanding in my opinion, had a bit of a problem and they didn't want to risk him too much, so he's been moved to the bench. Is the story for the Wallabies. Harry Wilson retains number 8 jersey. Ryan Nolligan comes back at number 9. Declan Meredith gets his second test, number 10. Harry Porter, number 11, replacing Dylan Peach. I don't know if Peach is injured. I can't find anything. Maybe he's injured, but I'm really surprised to see Harry Porter replacing Peach here, number 11. I don't think they're quite... Yeah. Anyway, Lenny Kittiao retains number 12. Joseph Akusu, number 13. Max Jorgensen retains number 15. And Tom Wright comes back number 15. I thought some of the 50-22s Tom Wright kicked against the French was really good, but the consistency just wasn't there in the second half. He needs to really lift his performance this week against the Italians. On the bench now, we've got Billy Pollard, number 16. Number 17, Jem Slipper. I just want to go off a little bit of tangent here with Jem Slipper. I'm very surprised that he hasn't been replaced by a younger player, number 17. I know that the Rugby Australia wants to make some news headline that Jem Slipper has become the most capped player in the history of rugby or something. But boy, I just want to point something out. I think Quaid came back 5 years ago under Dave Rennie. I remember how they called him back into the team because of injuries, right? Because of injuries, and he was only 33 at that time, still well within his prime. And then they're like, oh, we don't want to play him. They were really reluctant to put him on the field. And then finally, they're like, okay, bugger it. We just don't have anybody left, right? Quaid, off you go against the Springboks. And we immediately won 2 games against the Springboks. Remember that? And somehow we were so reluctant with Quaid, and somehow Jem Slipper is still here. And then think back again, last year, James O'Connor gets caught in. Win against the Springboks. 60 years in the making in Johannesburg. And somehow they just yep, let's phase him out and bring in Tang Edmund, who was probably not ready for Test rugby at all. And they still put him in instead of James O'Connor. And look at where we're at today. I don't know what's going on here. Why they're so reluctant on some positions to replace. They're so keen to replace the veteran in some positions, like the fly half, and yet for the loose set prop for Jem Slipper, they're just yeah, oh well, let's just keep him here. But yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts. What's going on there? Zane Nongo gets caught in number 18. Was he? I don't think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so he's get caught in ahead of Tupou this week. Is Tupou injured again? I'm not sure. Zane Nongo gets in number 18. Miles Amatasero, this is a really good debut. He's been outstanding for the Waratahs. Extremely physical guy. He's still very young, and sometimes he loses his temper a little bit. Hopefully, he doesn't get sent off for throwing a punch or something. Fingers crossed, but I really look forward to seeing this guy play. Fraser McWright on the bench. Like I said, he's apparently having a bit of injury going on. I mean, if he really has an injury, just why is he on the bench? Shouldn't he just be resting? So I don't know why he's on the bench if he's actually had a bit of injury. So it's just weird, in my opinion. Tate McDermott comes in number 21. Ben Donaldson returns from his injury from last week at 22. Filippo Diagunu comes in at number 23 for the Wallabies. So yeah, I would not call this a win for the Wallabies until I actually see it. Italian team has been announced as well. They had to make a number of changes from last week, some because of injuries, but overall, yeah, I'm not, I don't know enough about the Italian teams to really assess this. I know Ferraris is out. I know Capuazzo is not here. He's resting, but they have added Louis Liner. Monty Iwani is still 11, and then Pablo Gabisi is still at 10. So, I don't watch US. I don't watch top 14 or the URC that much, so I can't tell you. Some of you guys can probably let me know how this team stacks out against the Wallabies. But yeah, it's a bit of interesting to see that they made like quite a lot of changes from the team they played against New Zealand. That's probably the most important part that you need to know. How many changes are there? 9 changes. 9 changes against the Wallabies. And even with 9 changes, I am not 100% sure, confident that Wallabies will get this guaranteed win. Another interesting story out of Italian camp is Gonzalo Casada was suspended for 2 weeks as the head coach for abusing the referee, commenting on the referee. Luke Ramos. Now, first of all, Luke Ramos was probably the worst referee I've seen in many years. Not because he's biased, because he just didn't know the law. Okay, so I've never seen a yellow card getting rescinded. What? And then just having goal line dropouts, being confused with 22-meter dropouts, just horrendous all across. So the judiciary accused what's his name? Gonzalo of essentially alleging the referees of bias, prejudice, improper motive, external influence, or deliberate attempts to influence the outcome of a match. So this is pretty serious allegations against the referee, basically cheating. But what Gonzalez said, I don't think it's that bad in my opinion. He basically said that actually, do I have it here? But he basically said that the referee was bad, and then the score and then the referee influenced the scoreboard as a result of that. As a result of their incompetence, essentially, is what Gonzalo said. Now, based on this interpretation, saying that the referee is bad is actually not an allegation of bias or prejudice or improper motive or external influence or deliberate attempts to influence the outcome of the match. So by saying that the referee is bad is actually okay. But the fact that he said that the bad referee led to the scoreboard being impacted is actually an allegation of potential bias or improper motive, right? So I think there's a really fine line that he just crossed, maybe according to this interpretation. I thought maybe he could challenge this and potentially get out of this 2-week suspension here. To be really honest with you, based on what I saw in terms of what he said, right? But then we know that World Rugby has a zero tolerance on any sort of comments levied against the referee, so he might not get rescinded, even if under the strict interpretation of the law that he should be okay, he might not get rescinded anyway. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the other big game of this weekend at Eden Park. The mighty All Blacks will be playing against the mighty Irish. Obviously, the All Blacks, in my opinion, is to be trying to build some consistency, and their biggest problem is in the locks, is in the locking positions. The 4, 5, 6 positions has been a bit of a question mark for me. I think it's a bit of and they're trying to build more consistency in the back line. I think they are starting to see, and yeah, I think some of the changes to the All Blacks has been pretty good, but there's a little bit of a thing that I feel like could still be a little bit better for the All Blacks team. But anyway, here's the team that Dave Rennie has selected for the All Blacks to play against Ireland at the Fortress in Eden Park. Coming at number 1, we've got Ethan de Groot. Coming out to Cody Taylor at number 3, Tyrell Lomax, the same setup from last week. It's interesting, Cody Taylor is still at number 2. I thought his performance was like a C- last week. Was pretty average last week. A number of unnecessary mistakes. So I'm surprised that he's not, they still have so much confidence in him in the number 2 jersey, and especially considering Somasoni Taukeiaho has been pretty decent. I'm surprised that they didn't get another shot here. Coming number 4, we've got Josh Lord, retains number 4 jersey. Patrick Tupolotu gets added into number 5, and Tupavai gets moved to number 6, which is an interesting setup in my opinion. Coming number 7, we got Luke Jacobson. Again, there was some concern that he was injured. He had a cramp, so he was taken off last week, but he's apparently fine. Coming number 8, we got Artie Savia once again, and with I think what's his name, dropped to the bench. Peter Larkhite down to the bench once again this week. Coming number 9, unchanged, Cameron Roygar, the best, I think, number 9 in the world. Ruben Love, once again, wants more of that consistency coming out of number 10 jersey. He does have George Morby, one of the wings at least, coming in. He was so good last week coming off the bench to replace Leroy Carter. I think he really just put a stamp on himself into one of the black jerseys. Josh Morby, number 11. Jordy Barrett retains number 12 jersey. Quinn Tupaia gets come back in ahead of Billy Proctor. So last week, I thought Billy Proctor and Cody Taylor had a tough game. I think both of them made a lot of, not a lot, but like quite a few uncharacteristic mistakes. And it's interesting to see that Billy Proctor got replaced and Cody Taylor did not see anything, did not see any ramifications. Number 14, we got Will Jordan, and number 15, D-Mac, who's been absolutely outstanding, working as essentially a second playmaker with Ruben Love, and he's done a really good job to fill some of the gaps that Ruben Love has been missing at times. So one of the problems, I guess, Italy last week, I think the All Blacks really wanted to improve, is that despite the scoreboard, there was periods where the All Blacks are really kind of low. So like at the beginning, the All Blacks were kind of low, lots of mistakes, and then after halftime, they had this massive spike of just energy, and then they kind of fall down into low again in the fourth quarter. And I think that the All Blacks really wants to smooth that out a little bit going into this game, and that's the key here. That is a key, just consistent performance across the entire 80 minutes. On the bench now, maybe some of these players will help a lot with that drop in performance. Coming in at number 16, Asafo Aumua ahead of Samasani Taukeiaho. Xavier Numia gets another shot at number 17. At number 18, we've got Fletcher Newell gets caught back at the tight head position, and Tossi is completely missed out on the team. Another interesting selection here. Number 19, Anton Segner gets his second test, I believe this is. Peter Larkhite gets number 20 jersey. Cortez Ratama, number 21. Anton Lennon Brown returns to number 22 jersey. At number 23, we've got Caleb Clark returning for returning to the bench. And last week was Josh Morby on the bench with obviously Leroy Carter 11. So Caleb Clark basically takes Morby's position at number 23 here for the All Blacks. I think this is a very strong team. I do think that. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I do think that the 4-pack, I am just, this tied five is probably my biggest concern. I am sorry, but this tie 5, I think it's my biggest concern for the All Blacks, and we'll have to wait and see if the Irish will have an edge here. So here are the Irish team that's being announced to play against the All Blacks. Coming in number 1, we got Tommy O'Toole. Number 2, Dan Sheehan returns as the captain. Number 3, Ty Furlong, the veteran again in the tight head. Joe McCarthy comes in number 4, and James Ryan finish off the tie 5. And this is a very, very, very experienced tie 5 for the Irish, and this is why I think the Irish might have a little bit of an edge here. If you look at Ty Furlong, Dan Sheehan, I think Dan Sheehan is outperforming Cody Taylor on a head-on-head basis. And just John McCarthy and James Ryan as well, just really, really solid in the line-out. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts, my assessment there. Coming number 6, Ty Byrne, who's been off the bench against the Wallabies and against Japan. He's getting the start. He's just absolutely outstanding. Just a monster at the rocks, and just defensively he's really, really, really good. Number 7, Josh Van der Fleer has been outstanding, and finishing off number 8, Jack Conan. So this 4-pack is going to be the bread and butter for the Irish team. They're going to try belt the All Blacks, and I'm just not too sure how I'm a little bit concerned about the All Blacks type 5 is if the Irish can sustain forward pressure, keeping it tight and sustain forward pressure against the All Blacks. And this is really does a little bit have me worried a little bit. Coming up night, Jameson Gibson Park, who was outstanding, and number 10, Sam Prendergast, someone I've been very impressed against the Wallabies. He got hurt and then just carried on and staged the comeback, so that was quite a bit hard. Jimmy O'Brien comes to number 11. I think this is probably where the All Blacks have a bit of an edge with obviously it's Will Jordan at number 14 will be up against Jimmy O'Brien. I think there's a bit of edge here. Stu McCloskey, who looks like a forward, runs like a forward, but just super physical out of number 12. And I think it'll be a great matchup against Jordie Barrett once again. Gary Ringrose as well was outstanding, super tough. He got hurt as well against the Wallabies and just gutted out and carried on. Just really good performance. So far, coming number 13. Number 14, return of Robert Bellacombe. He was named against the Wallabies and he got hurt and wasn't able to play. But it's good to see him here against Josh Morby. And finally, Hugo Keenan, probably one of the best fullbacks in the world right now. At least the fastest fullback in the world right now. Finish off at number 15. This is a very tough Irish team, man. I'm not too comfortable, but it is Eden Park. Can you really rely on the name of Eden Park to say that this is going to be a win for the All Blacks? Yeah, Ronan Keller comes in number 16. Jeremy Lachlan comes in number 17. Thomas Clarkson, also pretty good, number 18. Nick Timmerly, number 9. Nick Timmerly, number 19. Number 20, Sean Jensen. And number 21, Craig Casey. Number 22, Kieran Froley. And number 23, Bang Diaki. The back line for the reserves are very good. I do think that maybe the forwards are a little bit light on the reserve front, but you only got so much that you can select from. So I mean, this is going to be interesting how they're going to shuffle up some of these forwards in when the timing of some of these forwards going to be put onto the field are going to be crucial for the Irish team. My prediction for this game, boy, I don't know. I really hope the All Blacks don't lose this one. But this is going to be very close. Very close. That's all I'm going to say. Very close. So some updates for the All Blacks. Scotty Barrett, not going to be able to go to South Africa for the Greatest Tour, but Fabian Holland might be able to make it if he makes makes an early comeback to play for Otago. Leroy Carter hurt his shoulder, so he's out for quite some time. And then La Rochelle is poaching Sione Aoi from the Chiefs to play in the top 14 on a 2-year deal. So, yeah, that's that. Grass cutting happening again. Fijian national team obviously suffered a massive loss against the English on the weekend, and the Prime Minister's come out to not put too much pressure on the new coach. He's the interim coach, not saying that need more time to build, which I do think is correct. But I do think that the transition of the coaches may have been a bit too rushed from Mick Byrne to the next guy. But it is Fiji Rugby. Speaking of Fiji Rugby, another thing, Simone Kuravoli has, after kicking Ellis Genji on the ground, he is suspended for 4 weeks. It was initially 8-week entry. They say that his clean record and guilty plea reduced it down to 4. But yeah, it's the sort of like the little niggling, has been a bit of an issue for Fijian rugby. I just don't know why they did this. These sort of things, when you're on camera, you're always going to get caught. But anyway, Scotland as well got Fiji this weekend. A few injuries. Alex Samuel, Carl Stan, and Roy Darge are all out. The teams has not been announced for Fiji versus Scotland, so you're going to have to look that up a bit later. Will Jordan on the weekend, sorry, I forgot, actually broke the try scoring record for the All Blacks at 50, and he's getting up there for all time try scoring in the world. I think there's like a Japanese guy right on the top, and then I think there's Habana might be ahead of him, but he's getting up there and he's still very young. But he has surpassed Doug Hallett in the all-time try-scoring record. And he's only 27 or something, 28. Still quite young. And then finally, the French team has been announced to play against Japan. Japan team is not announced. You can go have a look. Basically, the quick summary would be the AI summary, right? It will be that the backline has been pretty consistent. Jalibert fullback. You got Luku and Intermac at 9 and 10. What's his name? Brow Bori, the outside center is Mofana is the same. The wingers are the same. So the back line is the same, but there are some few changes in the forward pack and some shuffling around on the bench. That's basically for the French team. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm not too sure how this is gonna go. I really hope Japan puts a good show, despite Eddie Jones is in charge against the French, because I do think that it is what it is in the current state. I did have a look into Altrad, where I just found a bit of a nerding out on stock market. So Altrad, in case you don't know, does they do what happened here? They do they do like um they do like repairs. They do repairs essentially on like mining and oil, gas, energy infrastructure. And that's basically it's called capex. So all of these like heavy industries and stuff that has heavy machinery, that this machinery needs repair every year, and it costs a lot of money. Sometimes like 20% of the revenue, 20 to 30% of the revenue needs to go into repair for the equipments to keep the business running. And one of their biggest customer is Saudi Aramco. Yeah. I don't know. Aramco, I think. So they're basically the Saudi Aramco they are the suppliers to all the repairs for the oil fields as in Saudi Arabia essentially. So this Ultrad basically like infinite money glitch, and there's no way we can compete with top 14 guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's no way we can compete with it. Like literally, this company has an infinite money glitch. If there's ever a business that can, yeah, it is quite disappointing. And Saudi Aramco spends like what 50 billion a year on repairs. You know, a lot of that. I'm not gonna say all of that goes to Ultrad, but a lot of that just goes to Ultrad for their oil field repairs. So we have no chance, guys, unless one of you South Africans can call up Elon Musk and put some money into the Southern Hemisphere teams. We have no chance in competing with these billionaires from France. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys for the reviews. Cheers.